Ever get that feeling where you're like, okay, I really want to understand this thing, but who
Mhm.
actually has the time to read a whole book on it?
Oh, yeah.
We're tackling that feeling head on right now.
Right.
So if Stolt Pilates and the Reformer specifically have kind of popped up on your radar, maybe you're just curious. Maybe you're actually thinking, maybe I should try this. We're going deep on what that first experience actually feels like.
Yeah.
And specifically, we're zeroing in on that beginner course at Studio Biopilates Paris.
So really think of this as your total insider guide to what that very beginning of the journey looks like. We're going to break it down, understand the method, understand what the reformer is all about, and it's all based on a conversation, which was, I have to say, pretty fascinating.
Exactly. We've got insights straight from Caroline Berger, who is really the expert, the go-to for Stolt Pilates in France.
Oh.
We're laser focused on that first day of training, like what actually happens. And our mission here, because we always have a mission, is to give you the need-to-know info on Stolt Pilates, the reformer itself.
Sure.
Because everyone talks about it, but what is it really? And the whole philosophy behind introducing beginners to this.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Studio Biopilates Paris. It sounds like. Well, it's not just a gym.
Right. And that comes straight from Caroline. She describes it as a place of transformation. So I think right away that signals that it's not just about the physical movement.
Yeah.
And it's also the official training center for STOTT Pilates in France. Their whole mission is to bring, well, what they describe as precision, accessibility, and intelligence to Pilates education.
Okay. Precision, accessibility, intelligence. It sounds like a pretty potent combination. It also sounds like it's not just about like, okay, let's just do this exercise. There's a real focus on understanding why behind how you're actually moving your body. And it sounds like it's for everyone, whether you're a total beginner or if you've been active for years and years.
Exactly. The studio is actually designed for what Caroline calls deep learning. This isn't just about checking off that workout box. It's about really understanding and like embodying these movement principles.
Yeah.
And they do cater to individuals who are aiming for professional certification, as well as people who just want to learn how to move better
Yeah.
and be more mindful about it.
Gotcha. So we've got the environment, the sort of vibe of the place.
Mm-hmm.
Let's actually dive into Stolt Pilates itself. If someone's never heard of it, like, what's the core approach?
Well, you can think of STOTT Pilates as taking that original work of Joseph Pilates, the classic stuff, and bringing it into the modern world.
Yeah.
So it includes modern biomechanics, things we've learned from rehab, and athletic conditioning principles. But really at the heart of it, there are these 5 basic principles they focus on.
Okay, 5 basic principles. I feel like that's got to be the foundation of everything. What are they?
So they are breathing, pelvic placement, ribcage placement, scapular stabilization, and head and neck alignment. But what Caroline really stressed was that these aren't just words to memorize.
Right.
They have to be integrated into every single movement you do in STOTT Pilates.
Oh, wow.
So she was very clear that if you're not engaging these principles, you're not really getting the full benefits, and you might even be messing up the exercise.
Wow.
It's like an internal framework. Like they're always there, always guiding you and supporting how you move.
Okay, an internal framework. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So day one, someone walks into this beginner course, and these 5 basic principles are the guide.
Mm-hmm.
What are the instructors trying to achieve, with these brand new students? What's the big goal?
Well, Caroline put it as setting the tone for deep learning. And, you can hear how that ties back into the whole studio philosophy. So it's really about encouraging people to slow down, really pay attention to what their body is doing and feeling. And it's not about like how many exercises you can check off or how hard you can make it. It's about really understanding how to move well.
Got it.
And of course, the 5 basic principles are the starting point. So the whole first day is all about exploring them, but in a really practical way.
Okay, practical way.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting. So it's not just like you sit there and they talk about them.
Definitely not. They use like a multi-pronged approach, I guess you could say.
Okay.
They start with breath work, so you really understand how your breathing and movement work together.
Uh-huh.
They use tactile feedback, so the instructor might actually touch you or guide you with their hands to help you feel the right alignment. Partner observation is a big thing, too. And then, of course, they start to introduce how these principles apply on the reformer.
The reformer. Okay, so that's the piece of equipment that can look a little intimidating, right? If you've never seen it up close, you're like, whoa, what is this? And that's got this reputation for being pretty intense. So how do they deal with, like, hesitation? Beginners might be a little nervous around it,
Oh,
right?
for sure. And I love how Caroline puts it. The reformer isn't a machine, it's a mirror.
Cool. That's
It doesn't hide anything. It'll show you exactly where you're using the wrong muscles, if your body's out of alignment, and importantly, what it feels like to be in correct alignment. So that first day, it's less about like trying to perform perfectly and more about getting curious about what this mirror is showing you.
a mirror. I like that. It kind of takes the pressure off, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like, okay, I have to master this contraption. It's like, okay, what's it telling me about my body?
Exactly. They really break it down. They introduce each part, the springs, the foot bar, headrest, even the gear bar, and how they can support you, challenge you. The whole point is to create that sense of safety, get familiar with the machine. Caroline was clear that that feeling of comfort and understanding the equipment, that's a crucial step toward being able to really use it properly later on.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
If you're not comfortable, you can't really focus on learning. You mentioned the course includes both doing the movements and watching others. Why not just have everyone on a reformer the whole time?
Well, Caroline explains it like this. If you really want to learn about movement, you have to experience it yourself, but you also need to see it in other people.
Huh.
Because when you watch someone else doing an exercise, you start to develop that visual awareness. You notice little things like, are their hips level? Are they breathing smoothly? Is there tension in their shoulders? And those observation skills, they become really valuable even if you're never going to teach,
Yeah.
because it helps you with your own practice too.
So it's like training your eye to see those movement patterns, not just in you, but in other people too.
Exactly. And Caroline also said it helps build empathy. You see that even experienced people are still, refining things.
Yeah.
And it just normalizes that whole learning process. So you don't feel like, oh my gosh, I have to be perfect right away. It reminds you that everyone's on their own journey with this.
That's a really cool aspect of the training. It's not just about like me, achieve, achieve, achieve. It's like, hey, we're all in this together. We can actually learn from each other.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine you've had this first day intro to the principles, getting comfy on the reformer, you've moved, you've watched others move. What's the one big takeaway Caroline wants students to leave with?
This was a big one for her. The reformer demands presence, not perfection.
Oh, that's good.
And she really emphasized this. You can't just zone out on this thing. It just won't work.
Right.
You have to be engaged with every movement. And that's the whole point of those little adjustments the instructor makes. Every cue, even the pauses between exercises, they all contribute to that mindfulness.
Presence over perfection. I
Yeah.
feel like that's applicable to way more than just Pilates.
Totally. So you walk out of that first day not feeling like you've got to nail everything perfectly. You just have to be present, be in the moment, pay attention to what you're feeling.
Makes sense.
And Caroline hopes that people leave that first day inspired by how much there is to learn,
Yeah.
not feeling like, oh my gosh, I have to master all this.
Overwhelmed.
Exactly. She really stresses that that first day is just the start of something that could be, a really amazing journey. And I love how she puts it. The reformer is not just a piece of equipment. It's a conversation partner. Learn to listen to it, and it will teach you everything you need to know.
That's a beautiful way to think about it.
Yeah.
It's like a conversation with your body, but you're using this mirror, like we were saying, to help you understand it. So just to recap everything we've explored in this deep dive, we looked at Studio Biopilates Paris, a place that's clearly very intentionally designed to create a good learning experience, Studio Pilates, and its very specific approach with those crucial 5 basic principles. And we unpacked that important first day, how the reformers introduced not as a scary machine, but as this awesome tool for self-awareness. And we also talked about the whole idea of watching how other people move, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
And the main point of it all is that initial experience is all about being present, listening to your body on the reformer. It's not about instant perfection.
Right. It's about opening up that dialogue with yourself through movement.
Exactly. So for you listening, who's been with us on this journey into STOTT Pilates and the reformer, think about this. In your everyday life, what's your body telling you? Are you paying attention to those little whispers like, ooh, that feels tight, or, oh, that feels really good when I move like this? Maybe that same approach we talked about, that curiosity, that presence over perfection, could change how you think about your own movement, even if you never set foot on a reformer. It's something to think about.
Yeah, definitely food for thought.